And then there's Stress Level 0. They've been shipping VR games since the early days, each title bolder than the last. Their upcoming game, Boneworks, is an impressive display of physics and the use of touch. And we're pleased to announce that a new title in the Boneworks universe is coming to Quest next year.
This is the first time Bonelab was ever shown to the public. This is a good advertisement that accurately explains what Bonelab is, even though the concept art wound up being completely unrelated to the game. A Boneworks spin-off for the Quest. That is exactly what Bonelab is. A teaser containing lyrics showing only the campaign, an environment that's only a part of the first level, is not an accurate depiction of what Bonelab is. This video will explain why Bonelab is actually everything it was always intended to be, but also why it wound up being nothing like we anticipated. In the game Stress Level 0 made before Boneworks, Duck Season, there are 3 open doors that presumably lead to 3 new games. Boneworks, which we obviously know of now, Dead FM, and Hall of the Machine King. Hall of the Machine King is a whole bunch of concept art, by the way, and holy shit, this game looks incredible. Please let this be the next game. These 3 doors, even now, are still assumed to be big main games by Stress Level 0. So when the name Bonelab got leaked, the game, while still insanely hyped, still was mostly just speculation, and that name, not being one of the big 3, did manage expectations for some people, me included. Brandon, the main man behind Stress Level 0, said that this upcoming game was split into 2 games during development. This also helped manage expectations, since this game was seeming less and less of a full giant Stress Level 0 game, and more of a spin-off made for the Quest that was also coming to PC. Then that first fucking teaser actually came out, and I still have my reaction recorded.
Last year, there was one game that a lot of you really wanted to hear about.
No!
Oh my goodness, I care!
Holy shit, what the fuck? Oh my, what the fuck?
I think this is gonna be better than Boneworks.
Oh my god, holy shit, whoa, forward section!
Okay, I might actually play this one.
Oh my fucking, oh my god, there's a shotgun! Oh my god!
I actually kind of want to get that. That's kind of sick. Looks a lot better than regular Boneworks.
Oh man, I sound so happy and filled with joy in this clip. Sure is a shame the smile on my face would be shoved up my ass at launch. This first teaser ruined everything. Since it's the first official showcase of the game, it immediately takes priority over everything we've heard about during development, since this is actual footage of the game. And what this teaser shows is mainly Descent, which is probably the most different looking full level in the actual game, and they show off some of the side modes, but the way they are shown makes it seem like they're a part of the campaign. For example, I got super excited about seeing a falling section, when in reality, it's only a part of one segment in a side mode. Overall, this whole trailer makes it look like Stress Level 0 got ambitious and decided to make a full-ass sequel to Boneworks. This trailer also has full lyrics the entire time. The closest thing Boneworks had to lyrics was that fucking Gregorian chant for the ball level. I remember a lot of YouTubers getting a bunch of hate for overhyping Bonelab when it launched, and Thrillseeker even wound up taking some of the blame for it for some reason, and some of y'all sent him death threats. The fuck? The ones who overhyped the game was Stress Level 0. The YouTubers just shared their hype with a wider audience because that's how it seemed the game was going to turn out, based off of the official sources given at the time. Realistically, no one could have predicted Bonelab was going to be made in 5 minutes. At this point in time, Bonelab was looking incredible. Vehicles, full campaign, direct sequel, so the story is probably going to be at least interesting. The soundtrack actually got released a day before the game came out, and there was this song called Dream World on it that had me 100% convinced that this game was going to have some awesome and badass boss fight. Like, listen to this shit. My little balls were shaking with excitement. And then it launched.
Personally, I don't think I got my money's worth. Why? Just make me tall, damn it!
I've made a temporary fix for the grip issue in Bonelab.
This game launched in a god-awful state. Grip glitches, objectively unfun level design, worse physics than Boneworks, install issues on Quest. This game had no point in existing for PC players at launch. A lot of Quest users actually wound up loving the game since it was their first experience with the physics system, and they never played Boneworks. But for us who did play Boneworks, this game was simply ass cheeks. Because the game launched with so many issues, it made it so that the small amount of people who would have appreciated the game as bonus content didn't, since their issues were beyond just the campaign and what was here at the base game. And by the way, the campaign at launch really was that bad. Descent is the first level, and it's actually pretty good. It doesn't really do a good job at explaining how the game works for new players, which makes you think that Bonelab is made for people who already played Boneworks. But if that's the case, then why does the game not explain how you unlock the gotcha balls? Boneworks had these balls as well, and you would unlock them by taking them to the end of the level and throwing them in a special bin. In Launch Bonelab, you're supposed to pull them apart. In a later update, you could open them in a variety of different ways, but at launch, you absolutely needed to pull them apart with your hands. For new players, you would naturally play around with the ball and eventually wind up pulling it apart. But if you played Boneworks, then your knowledge from that game would kick in and you would bring all the unlockables to the end of the level only to have an elevator crash in your face and see all your hard work fly everywhere before being hit with the fuck you cherry on top that none of those items you just tried collecting got unlocked. On my first playthrough, I only knew you could pull them apart because I saw someone do it in early footage of the game. So then let's say the game is designed for new players and not people who played Boneworks. Then this is even fucking worse, as this is the game's entire instruction on how the inventory works. If you knew nothing about these games, would you know what this is? I sure as fuck wouldn't, and neither did a whole lot of new users. This is a lose-lose. Either you played Boneworks and you're confused, or you haven't played Boneworks and you're still fucking confused. The very next level is somehow even more cryptic and terrible at instructing the player, and even worse, it kills off the half-decent flow you just had from the first level, and requires what will usually take a new player over 2 hours of doing pretty much nothing, followed up by them having to play the most unfun and infuriating minigame of all time just to get to the third level that just plays like a quest version of the second level of Boneworks. The fourth level is completely hit or miss. Either you find the minecart cool like I did, or you hate it. I liked the minecart my first playthrough, but every time I replayed this fucking game, this stupid level would waste like 2 minutes of my life. This level shouldn't be a part of the main campaign, it should be in the experimental tab. The fifth level is pretty good. It's like 5 seconds long, but at least those 5 seconds are fun. And the Street Puncher level afterwards is really fun too. It's like the one level I've played hundreds of times. But after this point, the game just goes down a rabbit hole of dog ass. Sprint Bridge is clunky with the, at the time, terrible leg system and is actually more fun to play it as forward. Magnum Gate is just okay, but goes on for just long enough to be very fucking annoying. And Moonbase must have been the sickest joke ever created by man. At launch, you were expected to read this fucking map at the start of the level. If you didn't, you would have absolutely no idea where to go. Some people said,
"Well, Minnie, it's your own fault for not looking at the random texture on the wall. It clearly tells you where to go."
No, it isn't, because every piece of artwork in this game is AI generated up until this point. Tell me, why would I assume that this fucking texture is any different? Because it's blue? Is that why it's blue, so it's different? That's not even the worst part. The worst part is on my first playthrough, I climbed all the way to the top of this big-ass guy tower to hopefully find the end of the level, or at least be able to scope out where it was I needed to go. The problem with that, though, is that because this is a glorified quest game, your field of view makes it so you can't see the ball you need to go grab because the render distance is too low to see it from here. One walkthrough later, where the walkthrough guy gets confused, by the way, and we make it to Monogon Motorway. And this level made me assume that driving mechanics in this game were ass cheeks. This is because you have to use Light, who sucks for driving on the driving level. I eventually came back and tried it as Ford and immediately had 1,000 times more fun and realized that driving in this game actually works pretty well. After that rapid fire combo of bad game design, you're then hit with Pillar Climb, which is objectively the most tedious and annoying fucking thing in this entire game at launch. I personally didn't have any problems with it since I was so familiar with the physics systems of Boneworks, but I 100% understand the frustration and can easily see why this level sucked for 95% of the players. It's a level designed for the tall character, but your avatar randomly switches to anything but the fucking tall character, and usually the shortest avatar in the game. So you have to climb this horrid fucking obstacle course with segments that aren't even possible as some of the avatars, leading you to just having to wait. Just to finally continue, then get one shot by some fucking turret thing and have to restart the entire level because there were no checkpoints on this level at launch.
No, it resets the level!
After the game is done plowing you like a cheerleader, you get to enjoy one good level with the first third also being garbage. And one other good level, but it's only 3 seconds long, then the game has the audacity to end after only 5 hours of gameplay to what was expected to be a sequel to a 10-hour game. And the game leaves you with one final message. Go attempt to mod our game with our broken and unfinished SDK and our shittier physics system. Needless to say, this game didn't exactly launch in the best state, and to make matters worse, there was no boss fight like I hoped there would be. Actually, the Dream World song is completely unused. Despite the game making a whole lot of money at launch, Stress Level 0 did not abandon the game and actually did go and fix it. Now, keep in mind, fixing the game does not mean turning it into something it's not. It was never intended to be a Boneworks sequel, and it never will be, at least not officially. What Stress Level 0 did do, though, is fix a lot of the major issues and make some of the level design better. The campaign itself is still an unfun experience, but at least Pillar Climb doesn't randomly switch your avatar anymore. Bonelab has weirdly become the best VR game out there in my opinion, and that's largely thanks to the modding community. Thanks to the updates the game got, the physics feel better than the ones in Boneworks, and now modding this game actually has a distinct advantage over just modding Boneworks. Bonelab after being patched is a lot of fun modded. Don't forget though, base Bonelab is still not that great of a game, but the mods make this game worth the price tag, and that's kind of Bonelab's entire purpose. This game doesn't have a good campaign because part of the focus is on modding. Those early teasers made it seem otherwise, but if you look past those overhyped trailers, the current version of Bonelab is almost everything it was supposed to be. I say almost because it was supposed to have a finished SDK for modders, which hasn't happened yet. Right now, a lot of the best mods are exclusive to Melon Loader and don't use the official modding tools Bonelab provides. Regardless of this though, a lot has still been done with the official and extended SDK that require no extra setup for players who download these mods. Labworks alone makes this game worth the price tag, since it's Boneworks with all of the features and physics of Bonelab, plus the extra content of Bonelab, plus modding support, plus quest support for only $10 more than Boneworks was. Granted, at the time of making this video, Labworks isn't finished yet, but it will be. Bonelab will be 2 games in 1, and thanks to Bonelab Fusion, the incredible multiplayer mod, you'll be able to play the entire Boneworks campaign with true multiplayer where physics react accordingly for all players. This was something I could only dream of back in the Boneworks days, and the fact that this side little quest game can now just do this thanks to modding is very strange, even now. It's also unfair to completely discredit Stress Level 0 for these mods, since a lot of these mods are only possible because of them. Fusion, for example, uses leftover things from Bonelab systems, like the avatar grip points, to make it as incredible as it is. Labworks, despite using the extended SDK, is still only possible because of the modding support in SDK in the first place. I'd say right now, Bonelab is a really fun game to mod, and the most fun you can have with it is in multiplayer, since this game was practically made for it. Like, look at this, man. Come here, Panama, let's duel. Fucking
He's trying to kill me.
Oh fuck.
Alright, you ready?
Let's go.
Wait, hold it under the edge. I'll constrain it.
Oh my god, the Minecraft soundtrack is fucked.
Okay, here's a more reasonable gym block. Hold it near the edge. It's a diamond sword if you want it. You're gonna need it to kill the Ender Dragon, little buddy.
Oh shit.
This is horrible. We're gonna break it. Don't do that!
Okay guys, I'm going. I'm going. Oh god.
This is the type of things Bonelab was made for. This type of stuff is one of the few gaming experiences that still make me laugh and have this much fun. Sure, the base game isn't very fun, but it was never supposed to be. This is the type of experience that Bonelab is. That sandbox style of do whatever you want with so much to do and infinite stuff to mod in. Sure, the game doesn't come with multiplayer, but take a few minutes to install it and you're off to have a great time. Yeah, the game doesn't come with a good campaign, but one mod later and you have debatably the best VR campaign out there. What's especially crazy about all this though, is that it's getting even better. A lot of people think Stress Level 0 abandoned the game and that's why we haven't gotten any updates. But Brandon has stated the reason we haven't seen an update is that they want to make the SDK updates super meaningful before release. This is so that they don't have to break mods constantly with new updates and instead only break mods when there's a really good reason to. To a lot of people, me included, it seemed like this game was just not getting any updates. But looking a little deeper into it, just like how we needed to for us to understand Bonelab before release, we can see what's really going on despite how it seems on the surface. Bonelab is a story of poor communication and a buggy launch, not the story of a bad game that the developers ditched like it may seem. I love Bonelab now, and even when it was ass, I still had my fun with it. This game is really fun modded, and that's not a bad thing. It's actually a really good thing. I have over twice as much playtime in Bonelab than in Boneworks, and Bonelab has only been out for just under a year, while Boneworks is coming up on its 4th year anniversary, which leaves 3 of those years being without Bonelab. I've had much more fun with Bonelab, and I think even when the next Stress Level 0 game releases, I'll still be coming back to Bonelab constantly. This game isn't a Boneworks sequel. It's actually better, just in a very different way. This video took a lot of work and digging, so if you like this video and want to see a better example of why Bonelab is so fun, check out my video where I use Bonelab as a game engine. It's a good video to have on in the background while you go do something else. Thank you so much for watching this video all the way to the end. I just made a fuck ton of money off of you and I greatly appreciate that. Subscribe so I can continue to profit off of your attention span.